No woman should be a victim of rape by a fellow soldier or seaman or corpsman. No man should face the same sexual attack and call it hazing. There is no place in the United States military of violence against one member of the military by another.
One of the criticisms that I've heard is that we should wait a few more months for the results of still more studies, or perhaps even wait a few more years to see if recently enacted provisions have made a difference. Mr. President, I strongly disagree. How many more victims are required to suffer before we take additional action? How many more lives must be ruined before we act?
More than 20% of women serving in the military have reported unwanted sexual contact at some point during the course of their military service. And perhaps most shameful, about half of all female victims in a 2012 DoD survey indicated they did not report these crimes because they believed that such reports would simply be ignored.
That is not a good set of numbers, Mr. President, and it sums up why this problem has been festering and why we need action this year. But I think we also know that we're not all here because of the statistics. We're here because of real people, because each and every one of the numbers is a personal story of grief, and we know them all too well.
Our bill, which is included in the base bill, creates a new category of legal advocates called Special Victims Counsels. They would be responsible for advocating on behalf of the interests of the victim. These Special Victims Counsels would advise the victim on the range of legal issues they may face. For example, when a young private first class is intimidated into not reporting a sexual assault by threatening her with unrelated legal charges like underage drinking, this new advocate would be there to protect her and tell her the truth.
So how can we, at that critical moment, make sure that victim gets the help and support she or he needs to do the unthinkable, and that is to lay herself or himself bare to the public about what has happened? Well, the way you do that is through the reforms that my colleague, Senator Murray, stressed and that we have incorporated in this bill, and that is that every single victim gets their own lawyer. I don't think many members understand how extraordinary that is. That reform alone will make our military the most victim-friendly criminal justice system in the world.
Rachel joined the Army in 2004. She was sexually assaulted that same year while she was stationed at Fort Meade in Maryland for advanced individual training. After reporting her assault to her commanding officer, Rachel was interrogated for hours over numerous days and ultimately forced to drop the charge. She was written up for fraternization, and her assailant was not charged with any crime.
Danny Chen's story is not about sexual assault or sexual harassment, but it is about harassment. It's about the kind of extreme behavior that has no place, absolutely no place, in the armed forces of this world's greatest democracy.
An issue that the women of the Senate have really, I think, driven, but it's important to understand that this is not a woman's issue.
There may be differing opinions on how best to achieve the overall goals of reducing sexual assault in the military, but I believe that all my colleagues can agree on one common goal: protecting the victims from further abuse.
This is pretty historic. So if you're watching on C-SPAN, you saw history being made. 10 of us, and there will be more later on today, where we actually agreed. We are trying to govern the way we were elected to govern. And I'm proud of what we're going to do with the reforms that are there.